Hello. All right. I'm going to start with one called, this is called Litany at My Great Grandma Dell's Apartment. I'm going to do three. This is the first one. Um, this is not the one that's in the journal. Mardi Gras beads in all colors, kazoo the length of my child forearm, off-brand big mouth Billy Bass, pale flora, pale floral Florida couches, two-tiered acrylic coffee table that she loved dearly. Glassed off porch turned sunroom and long hours out there and half overheard stories and her husband who told me half understood jokes. I still remember the one that ends, "He had a hat." You have to do the voice. Painting of a naked lady with a cigarette because she was a modern woman and, while we're at it, a heavy drinker. A gin and tonic every day. A shockingly well-stocked mini-bar. A can of beer or Coca-Cola in the pot roast for a slight gourmet touch. At the big wooden table with the leaf, she played mahjong, of course, and all kinds of poker, cards, bridge, with her friends, her girlfriends. I'm told she went all over the country with them and had her own adventures, and I'll never know what they were. And then the second one I'm going to do is called Apocalypse, all caps with an exclamation mark. Uh, Fireworks behind the supermarket, skeleton in a lawn chair on my neighbor's front porch. Apocalypse, 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 say the yard signs lining the block. I see the omens everywhere. Dead pigeons in the street, dead groundhogs in the street, dead beach balls in the street. You'd have to drive for hours to hit the beach. When you get there, probably giant tidal wave? Let me know if you see one. Send me a picture. Apocalypse, 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 and yet I keep going to work. The poster ads on the bus foretell my doom. One fell in my lap last week. The ad, I mean. I brought it up to the driver at my stop. He just looked at me. But I didn't want it. I have my own portents at home. Rotting fruit, leaking windows, the Virgin Mary statue that's always damp, glued to a shelf in the basement. My bed is directly above her. At night I dream, apocalypse, apocalypse, apocalypse. And then the third and last one I'm going to do is the one that is in this issue. It's called Bad at Looking, and it's for my friend Camille. Um, thank you. Uh, Inside me there are approximately 1,000 white beans, and this is what I am made of, and when I run my hands through them they are slimy, but in the way of snails or egg whites, not in the way of rot. I think you carry some bit of the moon around in your backpack, but not the rock, the moon in the sky, the concept of the moon, the one that glows and tells stories. I am always tilting my head at you like one of those birds you see online, hoping to catch a glimpse of that slice of it, but it's hiding just behind you most of the time, except after a few glasses of wine in a candlelit room. You wear you wear very soft sweaters, and I have a propensity for fibers. The first time we spoke to each other, like a bad omen, directly preceded a period of fruit fly infestation so severe that it nearly drove me to madness. I wanted to be your friend anyway, very badly, near embarrassing how badly. How do I tell someone at a party that we know each other through the strings tied around our ankles, that we keep tripping over each other? I don't know how to tell anything to anyone, but somehow you always seem to know what I mean. That's it for me. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Wanted to say thank you to Michael and thank you to everyone at South Florida Poetry Journal and thank you to all the other poets. I guess I'll start with the poem that is in South Florida Poetry Journal, and then I'll do two short ones from my collection. So here we go. Blue butterfly on the last night of her life. The last thing I meant to carry was the blue butterfly. She swerved into view in the south of France like a velvet blazer with wings. She beckoned, a dart that filled my line of sight as the sun set. Magic hour. Magritte's empire, interrupted by a cacophonous clang. The trash cans tumbled into tomorrow, and the butterfly into my outstretched hand. There existed a smile in the folds of the left wing, imperceptible unless, like I, blood pooled in the palm. We locked antennae, systems activated, an aroma wafted to the sky. We followed, the creature, the man. There were tears, hers. The first bank of flowers at curb's edge called. It could not suffice. Another, then another, a row of possibilities, endless smells, hints of Provençal lavender. None mustered satisfaction. Then the sun splintered the horizon, its last gasp. The butterfly said, yes, here, here I will die. Here you will remember the action of your bloodied hand. You will preserve time until your own wings open, and you need it. Thank you. And then these are two shorter poems from my collection, Bikinis at the End of the World. One's a little bit whimsical, and then one's way more serious. This is Rod Serling narrates a nuclear war. And my collection is about nuclear nonproliferation and nuclear disarmament. Rod Serling narrates a nuclear war. A brazen man and the big tall wish, fortified by military stripes, weaponry of the most modern kind, and the grit of a small child who wanted to be a fighter pilot way back when. Today, child Aba will kill all of us Cain. When he enters a code, talks into a red phone. His boyhood wishes guide us into the gray area, not magical, where bombs can lead to another world, where peace and strange physics mix, where words and just laws remain fixed, a world we call. And then this last one I want to do is called Setsuko, it's after Setsuko Thurlow, Setsuko Nakamura, who survived the nuclear bombing in Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, when she was a 13-year-old girl. Setsuko, and she's a nuclear activist now. Setsuko, leaders listen. Listen to the still beating hearts. Listen to Setsuko. Hear her, love her, respect her. Follow her lead. She seeks peace. She speaks peace. Remember all the others, their names, their faces, their places. Hibakusha. Listen to their stories, lest we all disappear. Flesh, hanging, from, bones, eyeballs held in hands. Moruroa, Eker, Semipalatinsk, Maralinga, Vengatua Ufa, Bikini. Listen. Fill the earth with hope. Kill insanity.
Hi, everyone. Michael and the other folks from South Florida Poetry Journal, thank you so much for hosting us today and all the other poets. I am going to do a pair of poems that I sort of see as brother poems. The first one is called Steve, and published this one a couple of years ago. And then the second one is Pathio Pedalums that was just published in the journal. So this is Steve. Boyhood then is broken toys, and nobody really knows the avalanche of notes I kept sorted, annotated. Well, we told one another we were aliens in order to maintain a safe distance while we touched. Our bicycles making dumb love beneath the underbrush, and afterwards we kept our tongues tamped down, zebras in a zoo. Oh, we were soldiers with secret handshakes. You carried baby around on your back, a dutiful baboon, a modern family. I thought I had it down or figured out. Children are sincere until adulthood. I thought I loved you. until you closed your eyes at the top of the water slide. You said, I am not like you. A kind of comfort then. My bike rusting in the rain, a mirror of shame, all the truth of tutti fruit. In the middle of the night, I threw all the superheroes out, practicing for another quiet burial years later. The limitations of our own restless expectations. Love leaves like that, sometimes in a huff, and I'm dousing all the scrapes with lemon juice. I'm scrubbing the salt into my wounds like a certain loon, and soon I waited for your replacement, the chaste wife, so sure of all those riches waiting in that black hole afterlife. Do we replace people like clean underwear, naked under there, restocking the meat counter with fresh cases of protein? He waited with the car running, clever thief, voice as low as rumbled thunder, skin as warm as melted butter, stealing the steaks from me, just as the man who was not my father stole them from the grocery. I was orange blossom water then, the closest I would come to having a daughter. One moment only a boy, the next a recipe there is no way to follow. And this is Paphia Pedalums. I dreamt last night of new car smell. Every time I rode in Steve's car, it smelled of fresh laundry, young lemon peels, and the water of man. My throat would stick like a frog, and so I would smile at him to hide the fact that I was nervous. I knew that Steve saw everything, and I liked it better when all the humans around me were slightly blind. Suffering can be a small gift. Being a child is as heavy as a weather vane. Steve drove me to nurseries to buy plants. His mouth would move, but he was not speaking about plants. He said words about orchids and left his hand on my leg, heavy like hot mud. At night, I would stare at the drenched desert on my ceiling and dream of him being my father, scrambled like acid. The brain is a bad place. He had charcoal hair and twilight eyes. The best part of the dream was everything Steve did not do this time. He did not pull the citrus car over to the side of the lonely road. He did not sing about the zippers. He did not close the door. He did not teach me about bass notes and throat choruses. He did not. He did not. He did not. In the dream, I throw my weak and skinny body over the side of the road into the below. This time, I float. I do not ever awaken from this dream. I am 9 years old. A time later, the baby came. She was alone. No dollhouse. No way to turn her off. I wanted to play make-believe and chase lady slippers. Her mouth was always sick with hunger. I was sick forever. I would stare into her blue-eyed sky. I was searching for Steve there. I wondered if all I knew of making babies was the greatest lie. Was this his terrifying affection, my wondrous penance? Someone told me that Steve had moved to Omaha. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. And thank you, Michael, for hosting. I'll read two poems this evening. I'll start off with the one that appears in South Florida Poetry Journal. And this is called Elegy for My Father's Hush Puppies. And this is about the brand of shoe, not the deep fried cornbread. That's popular down south. Yeah. Okay. Elegy for my father's hush puppies. Maybe it was the brushed pigskin uppers, breathable and soft, not to mention Scotch-guarded, that came in a variety of mousy colors. Or the crepe rubber soles, the ones that supposedly saved Keith Richards' life that time he accidentally touched his guitar to an ungrounded mic. I'm sure it wasn't the award they received from the CFDA in 1996, or the cameo they made in that book by Malcolm Gladwell. But it could have been the endearing mascot, that droopy basset with doleful eyes and pendulous ears, who peers up solemnly from the heel of every insole, as if to say, "Woe is me," in the humblest and most lovable of manners. Whatever the reason, after he died, I found a whole litter of hush puppies snoozing on the floor of his closet, some snuggled up close and piled on top of one another, others slumbering peacefully in the tissue-lined kennels of their boxes. And since they were too small to fit my own feet, what could I do but surrender them to the shelter of my local Goodwill, where for $7.99 they could be adopted and given forever homes by strangers I would never meet. Although between you and me, now that Dad is gone, I don't believe in forever anymore. Okay, and the second poem I'll read this evening is, it's called Workwear, and it appears in the most recent issue of Anacapa Review, which is published out here on the West Coast by Gunpowder Press. Workwear. One evening, by the tie rack at the Rochester Goodwill, the now defunct one once tucked into a corner of the old IBM building, an older gentleman, wearing an Oxford shirt and a bow tie, slowly approached as I ran my fingers through that mop of silken tresses. "Seen any bow ties?" he asked, pointing to his own. And when I said I hadn't, he told me he worked at a local butcher shop, liked wearing ties, but could only wear bow ties. I nodded, my mind instantly conjuring the hazards of a meat grinder. This was back when I resold men's neckwear and checked the racks weekly. I knew my regimentals from my rep stripes, my club ties from my emblematics, and my tartan plaids from my Indian madras. In time, he wandered off while I continued to browse, and we never crossed paths again. But in the months and years that followed, whenever I scored a collection of musty old bows, a lifetime's assemblage bagged up and dropped in a bin, then strewn carelessly over a rack, I would think of him working the counter, dapperly sawing a side of beef or smartly operating a meat slicer, a knot of colorful silk waving jauntily above his blood-stained apron.
Greetings, everyone, and a special thanks as well to Michael, well deserved, for representing everybody else this evening and who's in the issue. I'm going to shamelessly use my entire 5 minutes, and I'm going to do that by reading 4 poems. The first one is the one that Michael and the group and SoFloPoJo accepted. It's called "The Hooves of My Conscience." I stubbed my toe against my conscience. It was resting in the attic of my mind. I'd no idea how long ago I'd put it there. If I hadn't been looking for I don't know what, I might never have uncovered it. Uncomplaining inside its unmarked box, spotted with rusty fungus. I reached in to gather my conscience like a pudding or custard pie. Gently, as with anything that has been abandoned, such as civility, or the vast array of silent stars of silent films. Through the attic window, I could see the lower half of Pegasus, its starry hooves and brawny legs, though the winged disturbance of stellar dust lay just beyond my vision. And so we lay, my conscience and I, side by side, eyes turned to the turning constellation, ears pricked for the cantering sound of flight, each of us wondering what the other might be thinking. The second poem is called, thank you, it's called On Beauty. I'd like to think the organizing principle in my life is that of beauty. Wouldn't we all? But beauty is in the eyes of a species that's rarely aware of how limited its senses are. The frequencies of sound we cannot hear, the spectra of light that go unseen. We are comprised of atoms, and atoms are comprised of a vast geography of empty space. The quantum contradiction of what keeps us tightly bound. We have so little understanding of even those we cherish. Perhaps this is why their bodies resist when we try to step through them. Perhaps this is why the velocity of beauty fails, where that of a bullet does not. This is called Shelf Life. It's a little, well, it's actually a little lighter, but it's darkly lighter. I'm reading a book I bought secondhand, which was already secondhand before I bought the book, being a book that had once belonged to a library. So who knows how many hands the book had passed through, though emblazoned on the spine in black block letters was the word discard. So it's likely the hands it had passed through were few, as the uncreased pages would attest to, though I find the poems within worthy of having been well kept, and well worthy of keeping, and worth adding to my will a codicil instructing my daughter that when the day comes for discarding all else, please allow the once discarded to lie peacefully on the shelf. And the last poem, it is May, so a mother is about the poem. And Doug, what could I say? Shoes are in the air, I guess. It sounds like an oxymoron. They should be on the ground, but I think shoes are in the air. This is called Mother Knows. I told my mother to buy a second pair of shoes, a second pair of the same shoes she was already buying in a shoe store she'd been going to for 20-odd years, which carried the only shoes she found comfortable, especially now that she was old, the only ones she found comfortable, in a neighborhood that had lost its neighbors, store windows quietly dreaming dark dreams, the street pulling itself apart the way skin cracks in winter. The owner telling my mother he was almost through. A few more months and he'd lock the door one final time, or maybe not bother to lock the door at all. So I told my mother, buy 2 pairs of the shoes, here, now, while you can, so you'll have them. But she didn't. And if I had to guess, the 1 pair of shoes she bought had another 5 years of life left in them. By the time my mother died, another 5 years. So what kind of son was I to have ever doubted my mother? Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to everybody else. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Before I begin, I want to give a big thank you to Michael for organizing the reading and for accepting one of my poems to the journal. I'm really excited to read 2 this evening. The first one is the one that's in the journal. I wrote this after the Supreme Court greenlit racial profiling last year. This is called Study with Fear and Pairs, and it's a contrapuntal, so I'll read the first half, and then the second half, and then the halves together. Study with Fear and Pairs. I am shielding my pears with a white bowl, anxious that the pears simmer in the late fall bruising. The gnats are a constant hum in the background. Sugaring into syrup is the pears' undoing, their peels. One by one, the soft bodies will be torn or otherwise consumed, stained with sulfur remnants of light. The gnats are invading my kitchen. Air, overripe yellow, dangerously close to brown. They can smell the sweetness, bronzing at the edges, by teeth cut into crescents, by rot, the bowl, a shadow of white, completely emptied. I am shielding my pears with a white bowl, anxious that the gnats are invading my kitchen. The pears simmer in the late fall air, overripe yellow, bruising, dangerously close to brown. The gnats are a constant hum in the background. They can smell the sweetness. Sugaring into syrup is the pears' undoing, their peels bronzing at the edges. One by one, the soft bodies will be torn by teeth, cut into crescents, or otherwise consumed by rot. The bowl, stained with sulfur remnants, a shadow of white, completely emptied of light. The second poem that I'll be reading was first published in Carolina Muse, and it's called Cherries. It's about my mother. In summertime, the cherries are firm and pragmatic as my mother, whose breasts are rebelling, spreading cancer into ruby depths. I buy the cherries for the sake of my grandmother, who ate them whole, whose whole body purpled with dementia and forgot the taste. By the time I remember to eat the fruit, the bones of the cherries are soft, the blood oozing black into the back of my icebox. As I lift the carnage from the cold and prepare to bury them in the compost, I find a plump spider hiding in between two intimate red round curves, and I am so angry. I spill the cherries onto the ground and let the bodies tumble like an open wound, splatter deep maroon across the kitchen floor. The spider, in retreat, swimming across a sea of giant rolling red keels, pauses by the threshold. In this time, I have torn a white flag from the paper towel rack, and in one swift wave I drown the spider in cotton pulp between my lined forefinger and thumb. I squeeze and feel his soft body pop in my hand, the green and yellow trunk wound staining like sap. Death is a snap you can feel in your bones, a bruised cherry bleeding, a living mother white with a tumor I want to crush between my violet fingers. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for your words. It's just so wonderful to hear your words as well as see them in the journal. Thank you. I'll read two. I'll read one that was in the journal. Thank you. Our daughter's skin. The hush. A first intake of breath. An awakening before a kiss ever said so. Before any part of the body was touched without permission. The room still dark, the sun racing back down, beckoning the air dry and still. His first gaze on her, swallowed by his own eyes. Steps backward two at a time, a rush back to that first male desire, the one grown in trees surrounding the castle and its dark, dark wood. To conquer and save, to grow into a good, good guy, to heal the wounds of a stabbed girl and awaken a city forgotten. The rumors, a whisper sucked back in, tales that lit desire untold. Before we know the girl is a victim, her finger green and unpricked, her baby hands edging over soft folds of blanket. And I'm going to read one from my book called The Bullet Takes Forever. And this poem is called The Bullet Cures. A bullet doesn't ask to be given back. Ming Chang, Bestiary. The bullet asks to be the fire that melts it. The bullet asks to be given back, returned to the earth, to become a bridge, a garden gate, a plant liner, a tent enclosing instead of burying, a ring that keeps going and going, running from itself and into itself, like wisdom, like love. The bullet asks to be the cure, to turn into the helmet saving a head from crushing, to create the structured bones of a man-made waterfall. The bullet wants to be a shield, to be shingles on a roof, provide cover. The bullet aches to serve higher purpose, to be a wheelbarrow distributing seeds, to be the pin in your glasses, the tiny one that holds the whole thing together, to be as cold as an ice cream scoop, as warm as a pacemaker, to become what ticks in your watch. The bullet asks to crumble in pieces, to be delicate like lace or a spider web, to transform into the jar or the candle it holds, to flicker and fade slowly, liquefy as it's consumed, to live as an outdoor chair, abandoned, to die as one, its rust the dirt reclaiming its victim. The bullet wants to be the echo, not be echoed. The bullet wants to forget itself, to forget it was ever there. The bullet asks to rest, to rest, to rest. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for everybody for being here. It's wonderful to hear all this poetry. Thank you, Michael, for hosting this. I'm going to read just one poem that's kind of longish. I'm here in Chicago, and the poem it operates on a lot of levels, but one level is sort of a travel log of Chicago. So if you know Chicago at all, you might spot some things you recognize. The poem is called Angels Are Out Tonight. Tonight, the typewriter keys slam rhythm to ease coarse electricity under the skin. The sister of the Sacred Heart pleads alms and sweats under her habit as angels stride thickly east and west on her sidewalk. Angels fly complex patterns over the drunk anesthesiologist and the beautiful child. Angels are out tonight. The boy rocks his body right and left to sleep as angels whisper green forest in his ear, without mentioning the future gun, a charity. Angels are out tonight as the fox scouts among the headstones, as the sigh ends in stillness, as brother pain is traded for sister death. Tonight, angels are on the wind like a tune up the sidewalk, like the white paint piers of the elevated, like the ocean of police marching State Street, Newman's Jolly Coppers, the white glove parade. Down the court run fast break angels. In the chemistry moment, actions and reactions without finish or start. Angels are out tonight lining the beige nursing home walls, and planless fireflies starscape the orphan shelter lawn. Angels with assumed names mingle the Cubs crowd tonight after a loss and smoke Winston's outside the gay bar and close up shop, lowering the commercial grade roll down stainless steel security door with a thud. Tonight, as the handgun rests, angels are out. As ballerinas pirouette the Bible verse along the red brick wall, as the sacristan eats his filet-o-fish, as the lawyer in her sweats stands on the suburban balcony overlooking an industrial park and tries to remember the name of the kindergarten boy who vomited. Angels are out tonight. Angels embrace sorrow tonight, finding storm within the storm. They crowd tables at the Taylor Street Trattoria, drinking water and wine and breaking bread before the elbow macaroni arrives, parsleyed, the last supper of the night. Angels run a marathon tonight along Lakeshore Drive. Wearing orange vests, they dig a ditch with loud machines. They sing gospel songs and blues hymns and country and western anthems and ubi caritas. In the sanctuary, a lieutenant kneels. Angels echo in the high church space along the stained glass annunciation. My soul magnifies, she said. Angels are out tonight. As I walk along Clark Street through the cold night to apologize, angels hide in the space behind the streetlights, and my sister balances the weight of all that has come and all that will happen, and my mother's ashes are harmless, and the aunt who saved my life is willowy and curly blonde still in the backyard with the baby I was. Latter-day angels tonight are out, and bi-coastal angels and special needs angels and glass half full angels, Latin rite angels, strip club angels, handyman angels, service dog angels, the heavenly host in mufti. Tonight, the woman wearing 8 layers of pants and 6 shirts asleep in the tent on the Broadway sidewalk amid metal restaurant tables and chairs is with angels swinging like the little girl she once was, rising up, swooping back, legs building height, and at the top of her high, high arc, she lets go and flies up and out into the light, the biblical furnace where all pain is burned off like dross, revealing pure. At the alderman's office, the precinct captain takes the call and dispatches a crew of angels to fill the potholes on a short street outside the ward through inattention or devotion or commotion or obligation or corruption or inspiration or sedation or kindness. Angels are out tonight. The Pope works as a bouncer. The Boston Celtic drives a hack. A poem is written on the alley wall of a downtown hotel in pencil on sooty bricks, never to be read. And angels stir the coffee in every cup at every table in the hotel's rooftop restaurant, and 2 miles away at the homeless refuge, and in the mayor's kitchen, and after the banker has said the rosary, and untouched between lovers bending toward each other and whispering, unknowing, the secret of breathing. Angels are out tonight, Michael and Gabriel, Uriel and Raphael, the thrones and dominations, the cherubim and seraphim, tonight amble the glittered Andersonville pavement and climb the shadowed Englewood apartment stairs and sit at the edge of the dark in the Glenview yard where a man who knows he is dying barbecues for the ones inside, each tack and tick mundane and solemn. Tonight, angels sleep on the red line from Howard to 95th and back and back. Tonight, tri-state tollway motorists barrel through the I-pass lanes, avoiding the toll booth angels chanting the daily office. Tonight, angels fall asleep in the ice-white television light. Angels fight on the carpet until mom takes the plastic baby away from them. Angels in the hotel room can't take their clothes off fast enough. Angels are out tonight running around the university track, each step an eternity, each exhalation another big bang. In the sovereign tap, angels caress their Miller lights, and watch Fred Astaire in the royal wedding in between used car commercials. Angels tonight await the second coming. No, they need, no, they want, no, they have no idea. Feel the high wearing off, leave a backpack on the platform, take an extra base, twitch, stalk, run at the nose, run on empty, run to danger. In the silence above the alleys, angels are out tonight as urgent rats worshipped in India, revered in Rome and China and old Japan, jitter from hole to hole the volted circuit. Tonight, early drafts are put through the shredder for no reason but delight at spaghetti paper, a dry meal of textured wonder and portent, a gluten-free repast, an echo of the halls of heaven. Thank you.
Hi there, Michael. Thank you so much for organizing and hosting and for accepting my poem, Bug Bites. I'm going to read 3 short poems, actually 2. The first one is called The Mountain Coughed. The mountain coughed, spewing a frantic flock of birds, maybe mountain chickadees or black-headed grosbeaks, crashing without direction. Tree tops quaked from the eruption, ominous, celestial. I measured my smallness against nature's Goliath, fearing its glory. What could the mountain share with its sputter? On a silent hike, feet crunched parched earth at Vallecitos Ranch in New Mexico, sun-sizzled skin in cooked flowers. Dragonfly wings fluttered and fish gulped for their lives, bubbles popping and spreading on the water's surface. Backs heaved and legs begged for rest as we pressed higher up the hill. At the peak, a flautist pushed out an ancient song while we rested on rocks. But I meditated on the mountain's cough, on what I might be missing. Afterward, the woman at the main desk said someone had been trying to call. There were messages left behind from a friend, and my friend said, the baby's silent heart won't let her forget her quiet womb every June. Thank you. And the second one is Bug Bites. A blue light zaps bugs from summer's air in the yard at night, while he bastes chicken and ribs. Unbothered by the bugs' burning lives, a crisp pop at the end of a short sizzle, like an egg fried in hot oil. He was like a father figure. He taught me about life, how to cook, how to drive a pickup truck, and how to bait and cast a line. We spent countless hours on the banks of rivers, waiting for the fish to offer themselves up. The fish, snagged by his hook, lay sideways like me on the bed while he groped the hope out of me, singed like the bugs meeting the bulb. On the porch, I sit trapped in the moment, remembering, running my feet through the grass. Inside, I turn off the blue light from the safety of the kitchen, deliberate and proud. Let him get eaten up for a while. It's the least I could do for now. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Michael. It's been a privilege to listen to all of your work. I'm in awe. So I have 3 poems for you all tonight. This first one was published in Pinch, and it is called My Response When the Instructor Prompted Us to Craft a Poem About Flowers at a Time Like This. Hell with asking me to write about flowers when we're fighting for our right to exist. Unless we're speaking of sheroes, like Abuela Nana, who, like a daylily, is perennial, surviving, blooming despite poor soil and neglect, nearly indestructible. With her backbone made of Kevlar, that woman surmounted all the isms in a day and age that wanted her put down. Or if we're talking about Abuela Mama, a marigold, pest resistant even to her own husband, smiling bright despite the abuse, sun and fun loving, she danced and sang every day anyway. Or maybe if you asked about Mom, who moves through each season like a ninja and miraculously blooms in the hardest conditions, a milk flower, breaking her way through frost, I owe them my voice, my resilience. They are the reasons I can endure the heat of fascism easier, like Russian sage summons our ancestors' strength. This next poem was one of the ones that was published in the journal, and it's called The Dish at Denny's Was Called Moons Over My Hammy. Your name being Hamara, the moniker stuck. Ham, ham bone, hammy. Grown men lovingly giggle and greet you with big, burly embraces. All my friends adore you. I melt in the softness of your sisterhood, long for your jazzy serenade. The recollection of your loud, effervescent laughter echoes, vibrates my innards. God, I miss you. 2,500 miles of life betwixt us and your heart is failing, stopped up like a drain, at the mercy of untrusted Floridian doctors who deleted your mother's life 5 months ago. The familia can't lose you too. I'll cling to you like our octopus hugs. Stretch my arms across states to hold your hand, Ham. I only know joy because you introduced us, confidence because you hyped me up, love sans pain because you modeled it. I evaluate the world with your eyes and mind and pray with your unwavering faith that your breath lasts beyond tonight, so we can dance again and dream of retiring in Fiji or Bali or Phuket, two old ladies on a black sand beach, cackling and singing under the moon. And this last poem is my version of a love poem, and it was published in Quibble Lit. I was taught to be afraid of men who look like you. Fierce-faced, tall, sturdy, white, bearded, and camo. I was taught to be scared of men with profiles like yours, country bred, trained in combat, knows the kill points. But you defied every stereotype. Warm, not angry. Funny, not sarcastic. Hug-fueled, not trigger-happy. With a deep bellowed laugh that shimmers with joy, not the ominous cackles that make me want to get out. When the supremacists catch you alone, they assume kin. Instead, you lean in, grit teeth, say, I am not your brother. Walk away fuming. You take the hits, the spit. When our affection enrages those who dehumanize brown skin, I sat in constant anxiety, like when walking alone at night, until you propped me up like an angel resting on cumulus clouds and reassured, head on a swivel, need not be my permanent state. You'll be lookout, so I can rest. Raised by a Mexican abuela in a family married to all races, you put your foot in those enchiladas cooked with soul, like your mac and cheese and the pride taken in the breakfast you make each morning as you dance to reggaeton and model runway style just to make me giggle. My symbol of happiness, safety, the lighthouse guiding me home, you've shown me tenderness can live in the male gaze. We both remain wary of men who look like you. Proceed cautiously, wondering what they have been taught about me. Thank you all.